Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Hey,
I hope
how's
everyone
everybody?
had a fantastic week. Listen,
It was
guys,
good.
we have a
It was
special, yeah, and every day is hot at this point, right? So listen, everybody, you know what? You need to make sure that you are leaving a comment, subscribing, liking, doing something because we have a special guest with us this evening. We have Clyde. Clyde has a fantastic band, and
yes.
the name of his band is Time Flight. We have seen the band. The band is awesome. So we're going to let him give a little plug in a few minutes. But you know what? We wanted to bring Clyde on. You know, it's always good to get a male perspective. So, you know, we've got some questions for Clyde. I'm sure he's got some for us as well. So, ladies, let's get started. Who wants to start first? Who wants to chat with Clyde first?
I will start. Welcome, Clyde. We're so glad to have you today.
Well, thank you.
Representing
Thank
the
you.
band and everything. Representing the men out there in Atlanta.
Always.
So my question to you, Clyde, is I wanted to find out if you had one piece of advice you could give to single men out there, and hopefully we do have some single men in the audience, okay? I hope we do.
I think we do.
If not, then we need to kind of share with some. Your best piece of advice for single men who want love and relationships.
Well, let me say, and I'm no expert in this, but I can say from my experience, I would say, first of all, we have to grow up because I went through my challenges of growing up. It took a long time. And by grow up, I mean, we need to get to a point where we can actually be truthful and upfront with a woman, know what we're looking for, and do as much as we can to be ourselves when we do what we do and say what we say. I think being upfront with women will get you a long way, even if you're not, let's say, if you're not the person that is truly sure that right now you're truly ready to let go and be completely a one-on-one, let the person know that and be honest, because I think a lot of times men will string women along because there's one thing they're after, and once they get that, they're gone. I think if you truly are sure that you want a one-on-one, let a woman know that, you know, right now I'm searching. And then once you become truthful with that, you know, you'd be surprised at how far you get with that. But then from that point on, you can learn the person and you can learn yourself and discover yourself a lot better.
Okay, so your best one piece of advice is grow up and be honest.
Right.
Know yourself.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds good to me.
So Clyde, you know, that's really interesting because I'm sure most women think the same exact thing, but we fall into that trap of hoping that, you know, that they change, that they're really saying what they mean. And but you know, in a lot of cases, their actions don't support what their words say. But you know, we want to hang in there just in case, you know, things might change. So
Right.
I like that advice. I like that advice. Men, I hope you heard that. Be honest.
Yeah, I
And
think
know
that's
yourself.
good. I think that's a good
And know
piece of
yourself.
advice. Absolutely.
What did you say, Bonnie?
I said, be honest and know yourself.
Yeah, and
Know
you know what? And
for.
that's a big part of it too. Know yourself, because if you really don't really want to be in a relationship, but you're pretending like you do, or you think that you do, if you really know yourself well enough, you will know whether or not you're serious or not. And you know what? Be honest, like you said, with a woman. If you're not really serious, if you're looking, you're dating, just say that. Because women are more accepting of that and will probably just kind of hang in there, you know, just to see where things go because you've been honest.
Right.
Do you think so, Clyde?
I think so. I mean, I think a lot of times, you know, you find the right person and you're looking, and sometimes the right person happens at that moment, but you move on and then you rediscover that person later down the road. I mean, that's how I met my wife. I was
Oh.
I was on the journey of trying to learn what single was like. And what I mean by that is I was married once before.
Okay.
And when I got my divorce, I wanted to know what being single was like because I got married shortly after high school.
Oh,
So I
wow.
knew
Yeah,
what,
you needed to know what being single was like.
right. So I discovered single. I wanted to know how it felt to be single and in control of being single. By that, I wanted to be that person that could have friends that could be friends with one another by being in my group of socials. And I got to a point where I was able to have a friend that we might not have been intimate, but we were searching. And then if there was another person that was a friend of mine, I wanted that person to be okay with, even if they met that person, they could even speak to that person and be cordial. I was able to learn what that felt like. And then I learned how it was to be single and have whoever I wanted to be with, I could be with that person and still feel in control. I went through all of that for a few years until one day I met my wife, not knowing that that would be my wife, but I met her through a dinner with, a breakfast with a cousin of mine. I didn't know who she was. And when I met her, I seen qualities in her that I liked, but she didn't pay that much attention to me. I seen her and we didn't talk. But a year later, the same cousin invited me somewhere else. Lo and behold, who was there? It was her.
Oh,
And from that
destiny.
forward, we've been together. So I met her.
Destiny.
Yeah, I met her down the road, just being who I was, and being honest and upfront. I wasn't out there to slay, as sometimes we guys consider it slay. We out there to find out what we can trap and hold and do what we want to do. I wanted to just experience being free enough to know that, because I was always the marrying type, so I had to find a real person to, become that one-on-one with, and I found her. So I don't know what you get out of all of that, but sorry.
Well, if
So,
I may ask you,
It
if I
was
may
all.
ask you, how
Mhm.
long, one,
Mhm.
how long were you single before you found the person? And were there qualities that you were looking for from your first wife to your second wife? Or you just knew it was that person?
Well, okay, I would say I was single for, and I can't quite be as sure because sometimes when I think back on it, it seemed like it was shorter, but it had to have been longer because I did go through a 5-year relationship and did not realize I was in that relationship as well as being. So it had to have been about 8 years, I would say.
okay.
And when I met my wife, I was looking for equality. Mainly, I was looking for someone that was, one, established, and two, a person that had a quality that I could feel, and I knew it when I seen it because I could feel that she was the type to marry. It was just some of the things that she did, some of the way she carried herself, the way just being at breakfast, the way she carried herself as far as men around. She was not one looking around, and just those qualities alone was enough to let me know that I felt some of the things I was looking for, but I still didn't know that it was there, but I felt those things.
Right.
Well, do you feel like the connection was you guys had somebody in common that it wasn't like she was a total stranger, even when you met her for the first time. So
Right.
you had like a mutual friend or something, right?
Well, yeah, we had
Or
my
cousin.
cousin. Yeah, my cousin was the one that brought us together, but not knowing she brought us together, it's just the fact that she said she was inviting a friend to
Yeah.
breakfast. And me and my cousin was actually going to breakfast, and she was inviting a friend. And once we got to breakfast, I decided to pay for both, and we had conversation. And once we finished the breakfast, I told my cousin, I said, I like her personality. I said, like her lips. But it's things that was drawing me to her, and I said, I like the way she carries herself. And she gave me her best feelings about. She felt like she didn't think she would be interested in me, but things were different. But that was, I didn't feel anything from what she said. I kind of gave up. I said, well, maybe not. But like I said, a year later, we found each other.
Oh, it was a year later that you met up again? Okay, it was destiny. It was meant to be. It was
Right.
definitely meant to be. So how long have you been married?
14 and a half years.
Oh, long time.
Nice.
Well, that's
Wow.
awesome.
That is
Awesome.
awesome.
So listen, because you have been married for a while, so I know you have single friends and you've been in around single men. Do you think that most men that are single, divorced, widowed, do you think they really want to settle down, or is there a difference between any of those men in terms of what they really want, going forward in their lives? They just want companionship. Do they really want to get married again? What are your thoughts based on some of your friends that you might know?
Well, I have, different age group friends, so it just depends on which age group we're speaking of.
Well, let's say the over 50 age group.
Oh, okay. Because it matters. It makes a difference.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
a 50-year-old that may be divorced, probably for a good, I would say, almost 8 years, they probably won't want to get married again right away if they were married. Now, if they were widowed, I would say possibly they would be at that moment kind of open to a degree. I mean, a lot of times, that I have a cousin that's widowed, and he wants companionship, but he's not sure if he wants marriage. Now, he talks about it. He's met someone that he said, I think she might be the one, but then at the same time, there's something between the connect and the disconnect. When he gets closer to them to try to connect, there's something about the widow that draws him back, because I guess the things that he want in her that may kind of match what his wife had, it kind of disconnects at that point. A person that is been single most of their life, and
They've never been married. There's one that's never been married.
okay, if they've never been married, are interested, but it depends on their social, I guess their social practices. A lot of times we get caught up in single stuff. We get involved with all of the stuff that singles do. We get involved with the type of women that are single status. They're the type that's out there, because men are drawn to wild things. Those are always open. So therefore, when they're open like that, you get to that first, because the ones that become real, it makes it a little bit harder for them to jump out of what they can have right then. The woman that's real, it's like you got to change up yourself to be able to fit that. And that's what I mean about growing up. You got to grow up. You can be 50 years old and still not be grown up
And
enough
that's the fact.
and get into a totally real serious relationship. There's a responsibility. There's also change in how you think of yourself, how you relate to another person. You got to put that person in a position where it's always been you. Now all of a sudden I got to put her on this. Yeah, it's hard to change. So I would say it would probably take them longer to just open up to a marriage relationship.
A person that's never been married, is that what you're referring
Right.
to? Okay.
Right.
Go
And
ahead.
then the other part to that is there's a possibility that they just might run into that one person that gives them that, because there's always that open. But the way things are now, I think you got too many choices. It's a open book now. You got so many people you can be dating at one time, because dating services are so
Through
open.
online dating.
If this doesn't work, I'll go over here because I still got her attention. So I think it makes it harder for those.
That's true. I agree. Yeah, and you know, we had a conversation earlier on this year, and I think someone said that widowers generally want to probably are more apt to want to get married again because you know they were married previously and just having someone in their life. So that's interesting that you should say that as well. That's very interesting. But yeah, that whole online dating thing is a whole nother thing in itself. And you are so
Right.
right that the men have so many different choices that it makes it difficult for women to really find anyone, you know, that's really sincere.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the women have a lot of choices too, but I think, and ladies, you chime in and let me know. I think women are more sincere. I don't want to say all women, but most women are more sincere in what their desires are. Would you agree or disagree, ladies?
And I agree, but I did want to ask Clyde, before you did settle down, were you doing online dating yourself?
No, I've never done that. I guess back when I got started, I don't think online dating was that, it wasn't that popular at that time.
Right.
So
I
let me
think
ask you something. Do you think if now today,
Mhm.
2023, especially since you met your wife through a cousin, do you think if 2023 there was no online dating that we would probably, we meaning women and men, would probably be more likely to find a mate the way they used to do, going out with friends, with family, churches, and things like that, as opposed to having all the opportunities with online dating? What do you think?
I think so. I mean, it doesn't necessarily answer the question as to whether most people would get married, but I think it would it would take you back to the old fashioned way of finding people. It brings back into place all of the things that we were taught as far as what a woman should be like and what a man should be to a woman. Man should be head of the household and all. I think it brings all that back into perspective, but it doesn't answer the question as to whether it would make a difference in how many people would find each other, because people still were having trouble finding people. But I think the problem at that time was more of how do I, like for men, it was like, how do I approach a woman? What do I say? We went through the period of, if you got a great line, women were attracted to that at one point. And it got to, women became a lot more intelligent and men had to step up and do a lot more to become more of what a woman was looking for. So all of those things changed. So it would still probably be a question, but probably not as much as it is now, as far as how men and women are relating and coming together. But I think the old fashioned way probably was the way it probably should have been or should be.
So you're telling us that, oh, go ahead, Wendy. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, let me
I
just
say hi to Blueberry. I'm sorry.
Hi, Blueberry.
I just wanted to say that what you do with your band and your platform, where you're trying to get the singles together, that night, the singles night out with the band
That's
and
nice.
everything. That's cute, and I admire you for doing that. And even to be trying to use your platform to, to make that happen, to make some connections possibly happen.
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question, because there's something that's kind of deep in the center of me. And most people that know me have always known that I bring people together. I don't know if you could call that a gift or if you could call that something that's innate, that I like seeing people getting together, getting along. But in trying to come up with this um, um, singles mingle, it was kind of like bringing back the old fashioned way of people finding each other, getting people in a place where you're having fun, conversation is going on, and the bright lights, it tends to just bring that fun into it. Coming out of COVID, I thought everybody's trying to find a place to come back together. Everybody want to party, but you want to be around good people.
Right.
Most people that became our audience up to this point were friends and family. Most of them were close people that had been hearing about the band for years, and they was like, we want to come see our show, but we could never tell them the place that we played. So when we started performing and people could come, I thought at one point, I said, here's a lot of people here. Everybody was coming up. I had single men coming up to me. Is any single women gonna be there? I'm like, well, they there. The women were the same, men and single men. I'm like, they come. I said, but you have to find them. And one day it just hit me, why don't you help them to recognize who they are? Because single people can be in a room, even when you mark them, they can be in a room and still never find each other.
That's true.
Yeah, but I felt like if you're going to have a room full of married people as well as single people, then the married people would not be able to mingle with the single people if you recognize that these are single, these are not. Because if they got on a wristband that shows that they're not single, the single people are not going to mingle with them.
Right.
But the single recognize each other and say, hey, he's single, so we go over and talk. The men sing. But there's a lot of little things in between that kind of keeps the full potential of that program working, because first of all, you don't get as many men out as you do women.
This is
That's
true.
true.
This is true. Yeah.
And the ones that come out, it's almost like they stand to the side and they watch and they talk to each other about what they see. But every time they wait to the very last minute when the woman has just left the building.
Yeah. When you're going to the parking lot.
Right. So there was one, and I won't call any names, but there was one that we had that this guy's a friend of mine from years ago. He came over and he says, who are those ladies over there? I said, those are friends of mine. And he said, I want to say something. He said, but I don't know how to say anything to the ladies. I said, well, just step over there. He said, oh man, I can't go. He says, too many of them right there together.
Was he shy?
Well, I think that, COVID has really messed with people's
Head.
social interactions. So I think there's been a little regression with just how to talk to people socially. Don't you agree with that?
I think that, along with the age-old thing of men are afraid of women.
They don't want to be rejected. They don't want the rejection.
They don't want to be rejected. And the thing is, especially when there's a table full of women, it's always been, and I'll give just a short example. I know I talk a lot, so I'm
That's okay.
I remember a time when I had to get my guts together. I went to a club, and this was when I was single. I went to a club, and there was a group of ladies sitting there. My first thought was, oh, I don't want to say anything. I seen this one lady that I was interested in. I walked over to her. I said, I don't want to say anything if all these people are together, but I'm going to do it. So I pulled myself together. I went over and I asked the lady, I said, would you like to dance? All her girls looked around like for approval. It's like, they didn't say anything, but I felt something. But she says, I'm not ready right now, but just come back. And I says, well, can I buy you a drink? And she says, sure. So I bought her a drink and I walked away, and she said, come back. So I went and I danced and came back a little bit later. I says, you ready to dance? And she says, not right now, but come back. So I went away. I stayed away a little longer, and I said, well, I just wanted to get a dance with her because I did want to get conversation in. So I went back this next time, and she went off on me. She said,
gosh.
why are you coming back to me? She said, you bought me a drink. She says, you don't own me. And I'm like, well, you told me to come back. And she was like, I know, but you keep coming back. I said, okay. I said, you know what? Enjoy the drink. I said, I was just trying to get to know you. I said, but I'm done. I walked away. But that hurt me. You
Of
know,
course.
and it kind
Oh,
of it puts you in that.
Sorry.
So something like that that happens to a man, it could keep him from then on. He won't, if he see a group of women,
He
he
won't
won't
approach anyone.
want
Yeah,
to approach.
yeah,
You
I
know,
can see that.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it goes,
That's
you
it.
know, Clyde, it goes both ways because now we're in 2023 and women have the opportunity to go up and ask a man, will you dance with them? And they get that rejection and they get that same sort of thing.
Hey, man.
It's just hard time. Look, it's hard times right now. You know, ain't nobody trying to
You gotta
do
have
this with
thick skin.
nobody.
You just gotta have thick
You
skin.
gotta
Keep
have
it
thick skin.
moving.
I think
Thick
that men
skin. Be a
are
turtle.
thicker
Be a
skin,
turtle.
used to the rejection more so than women are.
Yep,
Yeah,
be
I
a
would
turtle
agree.
and
I
smile.
mean, that could be, and that could be. I'm
Well,
kind of.
not you, but tell your guys when they come, hey,
Uh-huh.
put that thick skin on their outfit and walk up and whoever they want to dance with, talk to, do it. She turn you down, go to the next one, go to the next one. You are going to get a dance. You are going to get a conversation. You know, why we do what we do, I have no idea, you know,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying the men have to grow that thick skin and just keep moving on.
yeah, yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, I think some do because I mean, some men are successful with that. Some men will walk over and prove to women, "I'm not afraid," and
Yeah,
women admire that. They sit there and go, "Wow, he stayed the whole time and he made his point." And he's successful there, but there's that other group that may not. But
yeah,
while you were saying that, I thought about something. If we were to actually do another singles mingle, because what I'm trying to do now with that show, and we only do it at that one particular place, is to let the single people know that we recognize single people, but we're not making it a singles mingle. But to know that every show that you come to with Time Flight, there's single people that you will recognize. But at a point with that particular type of show, it would be a great thing to where you guys could actually come and kind of school some people on like a type like what she just said. That would be a great thing to let the guys know because when you
Be
come,
more than happy to. I'm sure we could.
you'll know them because they'll be in a corner.
They'll be right. They'll be recording together as a group. Hey guys, well listen, it has been wonderful, Clyde. Chatting.
Thank you, Clyde.
You have dropped some serious gems on us, but let us know because we are running out of time. But we want to know where will your band be next? Because we have lots of people in Atlanta that watch the show, so we want them to come out and patronize you guys.
yeah. Give them your website, how they can find you, follow you.
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have a website. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to do a press kit. But first of all, the name of the band is Time Flight Band. You can find us just to see some highlights of what we do on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram under the name Time Flight Band.
And that's Time Flight with Y instead of I.
Yeah, right. It's TYME, and flight is FLYTE Band. And the next date that we will have will be coming up this Saturday, coming up rather, on the 19th at the Painted Pen. And the Painted Pen, if you hadn't been there, it's one of those, I call it a adult playhouse because it's mainly like a glorified pool hall. But now when I say pool, I mean not pool,
Bowling alley, right?
bowling alley. But the bowling
Okay.
alley is tucked away to where you don't see the bowling. It's in the back. You got a big bar where you got a big dance floor area where everybody can socialize and they have a place where you can eat. But there's all types of games going on, but people are there socializing and having a good time. Men and the guys.
Sounds
All right,
good.
I don't want to cut you off, Clyde, but we are going to cut off in a second. So listen, everybody, Clyde's band, Time Flight, will be at the Painted Pen. Follow him on Instagram, follow him on YouTube, and it is Time Flight Band. Follow him. Hey guys, remember, we need you to subscribe. We need you to like. Hey, this has been a great conversation with Clyde, Wendy, Chris, and Vonnie. It's been wonderful. Clyde, we'd like to have you back again. So whenever you want to come back, just let us know.
I would love to. And thank you guys for.
All right, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Clyde.
All
Have a
right.
good
Bye-bye.
evening.
Thank you.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys next week.
Bye.